One disappointed because we lose 2 points, because I think deserve more, and in the way that we lose these 2 points make us very, very sad. But I think in another place, another way, I think many positive things, and yes, so happy with the performance. The team showed great character, and we are talking about that we faced a team that was last season fighting for the Premier League, and then add players this season, and in a very good momentum. I think for us that we are building something with all the circumstances that we are living. I think we need to feel proud about the player. Yes, I want to congratulate the player, but at the same time, what I like also is to see the player on the dressing room, that they are really, really down, because they are very disappointed, they are very sad. That is the feeling. That is good, because you need to feel the pain when you win.
It was a game played at such a high tempo, wasn't it? And it felt like you had control for the first hour or so, at least.
Yes, I think was a really, really tough game. When we scored, I think after, yes, we feel a little bit, to keep, the advantage, and to maybe sometimes some moment during the first half we didn't play with the calm that we need. But I think it's about to improve. We are young like a team, and this type of game make us to really believe and to feel better, and of course improve in the way that we want to play.
And a special moment for Misha, scoring in front of the Matthew Harding like that.
Unbelievable, and he tried because he knew the position. And yes, unbelievable. He was his first goal. He's building. He's going to be good for the club, for the team, and we are so happy for him.
I know you said the players obviously feeling down after dropping 2 points, but what is your message to them once the dust settles after a game like this?
No, it's keep working, because we need to recover our players, the players injured, to be more competitive, to increase the level. I think we are in the right way. We are in the right way. That is why, of course, I am disappointed, because you want to win, but at the same time is keep working and believe, because that is in the way that we are. I think we are going to be in a good position on the end of the season.
Finally, on the subject of returning players, how important was it for you to get Reece out on the pitch today?
Of course, but he needs to be informed. It's not the same to be available to compete 90 minutes in this level. No, yes, we are going to work hard to try to provide him the best tool to be informed as soon as possible.
So Connor, first of all, how are you feeling after a performance and I guess a result like that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're gutted. It was a positive performance. Obviously being 2-0 up against Arsenal is great, but obviously we want to hold on to the win, which we didn't do in the end, and it hurts. It's really disappointing. All the boys are gutted, but I think there's a lot of good stuff to take from it, and I'm sure it will help us moving forward, definitely.
It was a positive performance, and you controlled the game, didn't you, for over an hour today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we were patient off the ball, because Arsenal obviously a top team, and they're good in possession, and they work well as a team. So we were patient, and we picked our moments, when to press and when to go to win the ball back, and I thought we'd done that well today. So yeah, first 60, 70 minutes was great, and then after the goal it was obviously tough to take, but it's still, like I said, it's still a positive performance, and one that we can definitely build on.
It was a game played at such a high tempo. Was it the sort of match you were expecting?
Yeah, I was knackered, to be fair. Honestly, my legs are killing now, but yeah, we obviously expected it. Arsenal-Chelsea is going to be a very intense game, and obviously it meant so much to us, and obviously them as well, but mostly for us, because obviously we're trying to improve as a team, trying to get better results. Obviously the last few games have been good, but we want to get better results against the top teams, and today is the first step, you can say.
I know you said you're physically exhausted. The fans obviously react when they see the effort that comes from players like yourself. Just how pleased are you with your game at the moment?
Yeah, I'm pleased. I just want to help Chelsea as much as I can. I want to play as much as possible and affect the game as much as I can, if that's on the ball, off the ball. Obviously I'm able to do a lot physically and run a lot, so I do that. for the team. So yeah, everyone individually has their own things they bring to the team, and that's what's going to be great for us.
Got players coming back. Good to see Reece getting minutes today. The performances are coming as well. Does it feel like it's nearly there now?
I think so. Obviously, there's a long way to go. Chelsea are a team that want to be fighting for the Premier League, so we're still.
Well, welcome along to the Gary Neville podcast. It's a special edition today in which later on we'll be paying tribute to Sir Bobby Charlton, whose death was sadly announced earlier today. Gary and I have been at Stamford Bridge, which was where Sir Bobby actually made his final appearance for Manchester United. And we've taken in the Chelsea against Arsenal match, which finished 2-2 and was a real thriller, Gary.
Yeah, it ended up that way. It was really good from Chelsea for probably 75, 80 minutes, and then that mistake from Sanchez let Arsenal back in it. But it's rare that you would say that both teams will probably go away happy tonight. I think Chelsea happy that they've put in a really good performance and they've shown sort of like a blueprint of what maybe the future could look like. They've still got a problem up front. They haven't got a striker. And I still think they've got a problem potentially, obviously, with Thiago Silva's age. He's so important for them, but he's 39, as you pointed out to me in commentary, not 40. And then the goalkeeper, the question is to whether the goalkeeper can step up to be a top goalkeeper. But you can see that midfield, you can see in wide areas, they're bright. The full-backs, I thought Cucurella and Gusto did well today, and they're the second full-backs, by the way. So there was something like a real performance today. Structurally, defensively, they were fantastic. I thought the way in which they went from 4-4-2 defensively, and then they had that sort of split wide players, what Brighton do with, then they had Gallagher and Palmer coming back into sort of number 10 positions. It really sort of shocked Arsenal, and then out of possession, they couldn't get the ball into Ødegaard, Arsenal, because of Chelsea's four that were there, Gallagher, Palmer, Caicedo and Fernandes. It was really good. Mauricio Pochettino is a top coach. I think he'll enjoy developing these players. There's improvements in some of them. You can see it out there. Mudryk in particular, I think, will be happier out of today. So I'm sure he's giving them a very positive message in that dressing room right now, and probably reminding them that, concentration, making mistakes. Gusto's just switched up at the back post on the cross from Saka for Trossard's goal, and then obviously the goalkeeper. So mistakes like that can cost you, but they were the better team out there today, and Arsenal have had to work hard. And then from Arsenal's perspective, they'll be happy because they've got away with one. They haven't played well. They've been nowhere near the best. Their two centre-halves looked as shaky as I've seen them for a bit, but to still pull a point away from a game like that is really good for Arsenal, I think.
Howard Webb and his officials would probably tell you that handball is the most difficult thing to judge. Where do your sympathies lie with the one that Arsenal gave away? Do they lie with Saliba?
Yeah. And look, we've got this thing about unnatural position and making your body bigger. For me, that's when you're blocking a shot. And you're a defender, you're here, just watch me. You're blocking a shot. If your arm's up there as you're blocking a shot, then I think you're asking for trouble. If your arm's up here, you're dead. You definitely got a penalty. But as you jump for a ball, I mean, your arms come up. I'm sorry, I'm a defender. I've been doing it for sort of 25, 30 years, and every time you go up, you're told to, you can't not jump. Do a squat jump in the gym. A long jumper, their arms come up, they swing with you because that's your leverage, that's how you get maximum height. So the idea that Saliba, who to be fair, is trying to block the shot, and that's not happened. And I don't think it is. The Michael Keane one was very similar earlier on in the sort of day at the derby, the Merseyside derby, but different that one because it came from the ball on the ground and it's come across, whereas Saliba's jumping for a ball, he's a bit desperate because he realises that Mudryk's got across him. And I just feel himself for as well, if I remember rightly. That to me, honestly, what would I say is the most important characteristic for me as a goalkeeper is that they dominate the area and they dominate their box. They look huge in the goal. That when there's a cross comes in, they catch it and they come out and dominate it or punch it miles away. To me, that's what I want as a defender from a goalkeeper. Now, I accept today they have to also be good with their feet. And they're not mutually exclusive. You can have both. Alisson, Edison, and got other goalkeepers in the world. And we seem to sort of like be, yeah, but he's good with his feet. But that seems to that doesn't excuse the fact that they're in poor positions or they let goals in that they shouldn't. So you have to be good with both. But for me, the most important characteristic, and maybe it's a traditional thought process, is that I would always want a goalkeeper who's an unbelievable shot stopper, who's dominant on crosses, who basically doesn't get caught up on corners with other players around, just gets them out of the way and comes and catches. They're, to me, the most important characteristics as a defender, and I still think they would be today for most defenders out there. You'd forgive the odd bad pass or the odd boot long if they didn't want to play out through the middle, except in these goalkeepers are all pretty good with their feet. You know, I think I've told the story quite a few times now about in Spain, where the goalkeepers joined in every part of the actual outfield session and then did the goalkeeping work at the end because they saw it as being of equal importance. Whereas in England, the goalkeepers only joined with the football part in the last bit. They used to do the goalkeeping work for the first 45 minutes of the session. So that's something that flipped on its head for me when I went away with it to Valencia for those 4 months. It completely transformed how I saw goalkeeping. But I still think the shot-stopping bit and the dominating of your area is crucial to create that composure and lack of anxiety in the ground. You don't want your goalkeeper flapping like he was on the corner, Sanchez, before. You don't want your goalkeeper getting involved in those things. You just don't. You want them just to be calm and deal with it. And that's what Ederson and Alisson do. They're world-class, Ederson and Alisson.
But all that being said, even with the problems that Raya had, Arsenal are now 9 games unbeaten, and even though they didn't play well, does the fact that they've got something out of the game kind of back up your opinion, which you expressed a few weeks ago, that you think Arsenal could win the title this season?
Yeah, that gives me more. I mean, today they've been really poor, but that gives me more confidence that they will win the league today by the fact they've come back and salvaged a point out of a game where they were well below par. They were well below par. That's the worst I've seen Arsenal play. Credit to Chelsea, by the way, in which they defended, by the way. A lot of it was to do with Chelsea as well. But it's the worst I've seen Arsenal on the ball for a long time. They really struggled in the game. They couldn't
up the sort of shoulder height because that's what you do. That's just natural. So I've got sympathy for Saliba, but I wasn't surprised, to be fair, as soon as we saw it on the VAR screens that we have here, that the referee was going to get called over to the screen.
It's almost that referees are expecting defenders to act like goalkeepers these days in the way that they come out with their arms.
Yeah.
But talking of goalkeepers, David Raya is going to be very much in the focus again for the second Chelsea goal. You obviously feel that this is a problem that Mikel Arteta has brought on himself.
I do. Well, look, I mean, if a goalkeeper makes mistakes, then that's the goalkeeper's problem, but the problem is there's a very good goalkeeper in the waiting who hasn't done anything wrong yet this season, and he was left out of a game a few months ago, a month or so ago. Surprised us all. We thought it might be for a couple of games, but it looks like David Raya now is the number one. The problem is David Raya, he started to look a little nervy in the last few games. He started to make mistakes. And I've been there. I've been there at United where we've had 2 equal goalkeepers and you sort of the manager changed one, then he brought the other one in, and this was the greatest manager of all time. It was when Roy Carroll and Tim Howard were there. People might say, oh, they're not as good as Raya and Ramsdale. It doesn't really matter. You've got 2 goalkeepers who are of equal ability, and you don't know which one's your number one. You've got an issue. You've got an issue. Trust me, you've got an issue. It happened a little bit with England when Tim Flowers was doing brilliantly for Blackburn and David Seaman was there, but, you know, quite clearly Terry Venables named David Seaman as his number one. He was adamant. So I think that there is a problem brewing here whereby Ramsdale's going to start knocking on the door and say, get me back in, and if he doesn't, he's going to have to leave. So even though it looks like there's competition for places in the goalkeeping position, it won't last long, this. You know, the maximum will be a season because the goalkeeper who's not playing or feels hard done to will end up leaving and want to play Premier League football or football in a top league. And I don't think it can work, and there's nothing I'm seeing that say it can work. And I also think it puts more pressure on the one that's in because he knows the other guy's waiting in the wings, who's very good. So to me, I think that, yeah, Raya's got to settle down. He's a good goalkeeper. Ramsdale's a good goalkeeper. They've got 2 very good ones. But I suspect the whole pressure of the situation caused by me, you, everybody else talking about it on a constant basis, but ultimately caused by Mikel Arteta. He's the one that's brought this situation upon himself by having these 2 excellent goalkeepers that he sees as being a good problem to have. I don't think it's a good problem in that position. I know in every other position you want good competition for places, but when you've got 2 goalkeepers that are undermining each other by the fact that they're both good and one makes a mistake, then you look at the other one on the bench and our cameras throw to him, it just isn't healthy in that position. You need to give that goalkeeper in that position the strength of mind, you're my number one, and give him that comfort. And then change him at the end of the season if you don't think he's your number one, and let the other one go, if you know what I mean. But don't have both of them there. That's my view.
Is there a problem across the Premier League landscape in that people have seen what Ederson has done and have now become obsessed with goalkeepers who are good with their feet, and therefore the other basics of goalkeeping have almost been sidelined?
Yeah, it was his position. I mean, he had a couple of problems with his feet as well, but it was his positioning on that goal that was the problem. He was out of position. He didn't reset himself. There was one in the first half that I don't think he reset himself for as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, that to me, honestly, what would I say is the most important characteristic for me as a goalkeeper is that they dominate the area and they dominate their box. They look huge